my channel. If you're new here, I'm Sue of Bendnstretch with Sue. In today's video, I'm taking you through a short hip opening flow where we're working our way toward padmanasa, otherwise known as lotus pose. This one comes as a request from a regular subscriber, Paul. Make sure that you let me know what you think. And also, I wanted to give a quick shout out to some supporters and friends of the channel, and that would be Adrian and Nico. They have an amazing fitness channel. Their workouts are incredible. If you're looking to get strong and really fit, I advise you to check out their channel. I'll have it linked down below for you. So let's get started. All you'll need for today are a couple of yoga blocks, which are optional. I have a couple right here, and also a blanket could be helpful for you to use as a means of opening up the hips a little bit more easily. So let's get going now. For this one, we begin in child's pose. So just stretching out the arms and getting comfortable, perhaps even bringing the ear to the mat as you bring your knees a little bit wider than hip width. Allowing a few moments here to really connect with your breath. Allow the softness to move into your body as you feel yourself creating more space in the spine, the shoulders, and the hips. As you connect with that inner peace and calm, you start to feel more prepared to begin to incorporate some movement. So very slowly making your way up into table position as you bring the knees underneath the hips. And we'll take the hands a little bit wider or a little further forward than the shoulders, tucking the toes under and lifting up and back into a downward facing dog. Now as we gently ease into some movement, we begin to shift the hips a little bit, getting way up onto the balls of the feet as we alternate that movement from side to side, but ensuring that we stay nice and long through the sides of the body, the arms, and even the backs of the legs. From here, we ease into a plank position to create some strength through the whole body, really connecting with that inner strength. You can drop down to the knees if you like. We take an inhalation at the top and exhale to lower ourselves all the way down. As we inhale to lift the heart forward and upward, you might even peel the hips right off the mat to create a deeper back bend, and then rolling through to push up and back into downward facing dog once again. From here, we ease into softness as we walk the hands toward the feet, creating even more traction in our spine now as we allow the head to release toward the tops of the feet, perhaps just bringing the arms alongside the legs with the hands alongside the feet, or you could even bring them to the elbows to open and create even more traction. Give the head a little shake here. Yes, no, a few times to just make sure you're nice and loose through the neck. As you release the arms, let them hang and slowly begin to unroll to make your way up into a mountain pose at the back of the mat. Inhaling to reach up and look up. Exhaling to let the hands float to your heart center. Now as we bring the right foot and cross it behind the left one, you want to bring it as far back as you comfortably can so the hips remain squared and facing straight ahead. And from here we take a big reach of the arms upward. As you exhale, bringing your left hand to the left hip and leaning into that left side as you reach up and over with your right arm. Create some softness in your knees here, especially the left one, as you use your left hand
to apply a little bit of pressure to push your right hip over to the right side. You might even be comfortable gazing past your left elbow. As you inhale to bring the palms together again, look up to the hands. Exhale, float them to the heart as you step in to bring your right foot back underneath the right hip. Let's take another big breath in, reach up. With a little bit of a back bend, exhale, float those hands to the heart center. From here, we step the left foot back and taking it way back as we open up those feet again, far enough apart so that you feel stable still and the hips are still squared forward. Breathe in to reach up and breathe out. Bring your right hand and place it along the side of that right hip. Continue to ease the hips over as you reach up with your left arm, creating beautiful space in that left rib cage. And again, see if you can bring your gaze past your right elbow. Continue to apply ever so little bit of pressure on that right hip to feel more space on the left side. As you inhale to bring palms together again, stepping the left foot back underneath your hip. To come back to Tadasana, let's breathe in to reach up and back. And exhale to float it down into forward fold. Breathe in to flatten the back. Breathe out to walk the hands to the top of your mat as we lift the right leg up, bending the knee to open up that hip. So from here, we point the knee to the sky. You can even add a little bit of circling out here in one direction and then circling it out in the opposite direction. And as you reach that leg up and back, press the heart toward your left thigh. Square up the hips, open the shoulders, draw the knee in, a little tuck, a little hold to step that foot to the top of your mat. And as we come into this nice low lunge, we reach the arms forward and open up into crescent lunge. Inhale to open, cactusing the arms, pressing the heart open, bending the back knee to plant it down. As you reach the arms back up again, bring the palms together to look up, leaning back ever so slightly, and bringing the left hand under the shoulder as you circle your right arm back. And see if you can reach for your left foot. Perhaps you're able to pick it up. Maybe you're even able to draw it in a little bit closer. Maybe kind of easing those fingertips down the front of that ankle. Turning to gaze past your right shoulder. And from here, releasing it all the way down. Tucking those back toes under to lift the knee and stepping the left foot to meet the right. Breathing in to open up here. Breathing out to float down. Reverse that swan dive as you open the arms and bring the palms together. A little bit of a lean back. Bowing as you send the tailbone back and folding completely. Inhale to come up halfway, and as you exhale, step way back with your right foot, bringing that right hip or right heel down to the floor. You're just turning those back toes diagonally as you work your way up to Warrior One, Virabhadrasana 1. The arms come alongside the ears and opening through the chest. As you interlace the fingers, you can bring them back behind you. Open the heart a little bit more, pressing those ribs forward and upward. And as you exhale, bow, bringing the heart right along the inside of your front thigh. Bowing, arms release overhead. Draw those inner thighs toward the midline of the body. And release. To float those arms back up again. Palms come back together. Exhale to the heart. As you pivot to open up to your Warrior Two. So you might want to make that a little bit wider stance as we keep that front knee bent and pressing open to really get into that hip opening. So we want to feel that preparation for padmanasa as we bring that back arm out alongside the ear, creating that straight line from the back ankle through to the fingertips, maybe exploring getting deeper. And this is where you could reach for your block. Continue to press that knee open. Maybe the whole hand comes down. Be sure not to start to collapse here though. You want to try to keep that hip facing forward as you really elongate here, tucking the tailbone under. And from here, we circle that arm down and pivot to come back through to the middle. Now take a moment to line up the toes so they're on the same plane as you inhale to flatten the back, sliding the shoulder blades down your back, reaching the arms nice and long by the ears, holding it here, thumbs up. Keep pressing the tailbone back. Keep your belly pulling up towards your spine, sending those hips a little further back. Inhale, exhale, and bring the hands down. Bring the head down as you lift those hips up to the sky. You can keep the hands under the elbows here to keep a good bend in the elbows. Continuing to lift the tailbone to the sky. Maybe the head comes all the way down. And from here, we pause and really feel that stretch in the inner thighs, groin muscles. If you wanted to, you could take a quick headstand here, or you can come right back up again, planting those hands under the shoulders and turning the left toes, or right toes, sorry, to the other side as we walk it across to the opposite side this time, pivoting to come into that nice long lunge, floating up to your crescent lunge. And as you bring the palms together, slowly floating that back knee all the way down. Inhale to reach up. Exhale, bring the hands down and send the hips back as you bow over top of that front leg. Floating the toes up as you pull them towards you, so you want to get lots of length in the back of that heel, possibly staying right here, or maybe continuing to move back with the back toes tucked under. And as we do here, you can sit on that back heel, and you might even start to move further back on that back heel, still melting over that front leg. And hold on to the foot, and from here you might even play around with the balance a little bit, or bring the back heel all the way down as you pick up the right foot, holding on if you can with both hands, reaching, trying to balance here. You can hold on to the big toe, holding it here, pressing through that heel, squeezing those inner thighs. And as you release it back down again, let's bring the hands to the top of the mat and step it back to a downward facing dog. Inhale to flow it forward. Exhale to lower down. Chaturanga, upward facing dog, and take it to your downward facing dog. And breathing easy, hands spread wide open, as do your shoulder blades, reaching up and back, bending the knee and pointing it to the sky. Circling it one way and circling it the other way. And as we reach back, taking a nice big squeeze of thigh to belly and stepping that foot to the top of the mat. From here, we reach the arms nice and long and lifting up into that crescent lunge. Palms come together as we lower the knee down to the floor, reaching up and looking up as you separate the hands, bringing the right hand under the shoulder, left arm reaches back as we reach for the right foot this time, pulling it in. So this really creates a great quad stretch, hip stretch. You can make your way down, maybe a little deeper. If you can't reach the foot, you can just intend. So you can have it in the same positioning. You're bringing the foot toward the hand, and as you feel yourself stretching, you're still getting the benefits that your body will appreciate, no matter what level you're at. at this time as far as flexibility. It takes time to build flexibility in the body. As you release it and let it go, come on back up again into that nice lunge, stepping the back foot to meet front. Inhaling halfway up, exhaling to fold. And then reverse swan dive, open it up, take it into a nice back bend here as you reach back, maybe a little bit more depth. And as you bring the hands to the heart, sink into a forward fold, releasing the fingertips by the feet. Inhale to come up halfway. As you exhale, step back with your left foot this time, keeping those toes turned out to make your way into Virabhadrasana 1. Keeping a good bend in that front knee, great squaring in the hips as well. Taking a big inhale to open across the heart, bring the hands to interlace back behind you. Keep pressing that left hip forward, breathe in, and then as you exhale, you're taking a bow, bringing your heart right along the inside of that front thigh, arms releasing overhead. And pressing firmly through the feet as you inhale to reach up. Exhale, hands land at the heart as you open up to your warrior two once again. So from here, you will really want to focus on getting shoulders over top of hips, getting maybe a little bit wider. So we're working toward that lotus position, so we have to open up those inner thighs, as well as work the outer hips. From here, we bring the front arm to the front thigh, reaching the back one, right alongside the ear. You can hang out here, continuing to press that front thigh open with the bottom arm, or see if you can bring it down a little deeper without compromising your form. So what you want to avoid is a sort of rotation to bring the arm down. Instead, you want to maintain that same position. Maybe you use your block. Maybe you stay up on the leg, but you want to create a long line of energy from that back ankle all the way out through the fingertips. So you circle it and bring it all the way down. We come back through that midpoint, taking a moment to line up the toes here. And from here, once you've lined them up, draw the heels in, bend the knees to squat down into goddess squat, pressing those elbows open as you press the knees open as well. So sinking nice and deep here. Take the hands, bring them to your inner thighs, and from here, we apply a little bit of pressure. So we want to feel the rotation happening right at the hip. So you're not pressing through the knee, you want to have the hand on your inner thighs. You apply some pressure here, rolling your shoulder in to the middle, and then rolling it back as you switch it over to the other side. So same thing, press on the thighs. So you're pressing on that big femur rather than on your knee. Do not press on your knee. So important to look after those knee joints. They are somewhat fragile. They do a lot for us, but we do need to honor them. As you bring yourself back here, let's take it back to that goddess squat, sinking down maybe a little bit lower. Inhale, reach up. From here, see if you can pick up the heels, getting up onto the balls of your feet, bending and squatting down, maybe a little lower as you open up those knees again, reaching up. Reach, 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 get up onto the balls of the feet, get those heels off the floor, keep them off the floor as you make your way back into your squats a little bit wider here. So bring it in a little bit if you need to. Sink low, keep those heels lifted, and bring it back. Nice and tall. Hands, index fingers right at the hip creases as you take your bow once again. From here, turn the toes straight ahead. Reach for the big toes with your peace fingers, thumbs over the toenails as you lift the elbows. Draw the tail toward the ceiling and head toward your mat. Breathe in, get long, and breathe out, see if you can get a little tiny bit deeper. As you release, bring the hands right underneath the shoulders, and from here, we walk the feet in toward each other, a little bit closer, turning those toes outward and sinking down into malasana, squat, prayer squat, as we bring the hands together. Now you might be able to bring your feet in a little bit closer. For some, there's an issue getting the heels down on the floor. So if that's the case, you can always reach for a blanket. Hopefully you have one nearby, and you can place your heels right on that blanket, or you could roll up the edge of your mat in order to get deeper into that squat. You can use the elbows here to press open, so you might be able to work your way down a little bit lower so that you can really get that rotation in the hips. As you slowly bring the knees back in again, we'll slide that blanket out to lower your bottom. You can bring the arms out in front of you or in on the floor to bring yourself all the way down to seated. So from here, you can shake out the legs a little bit as we really focus in on opening up the hips. Now bringing the soles of the feet, we start out with butterfly or padmanasa, as it's known, bound angle pose, or even cobbler's pose. As you bring the hands together, the feet are together, you want to draw your heels towards your body and allowing your knees to open out. Now you may find that your knees are somewhere up here, and that's quite okay. Now if you sit on a blanket, you may find that it's a little bit easier for you to get comfortable. Quite often what I'll see, and I'll just turn around or turn sideways quickly, is I see a lot of strain trying to get into this position with people being very rounded in this manner here as they lean back. So what you want to do is you do want to get tall and lifted through your spine. But in order to do that, just making that little adjustment sometimes, bringing the blanket underneath the sit bones can help those knees to open up a little bit more easily. So do consider that. It's always a good idea to have some of these props handy so that if the need arises, they're right there for you, and you can just make it that much easier to hang out in the position that whatever is being prescribed at any given time. But from here, as you keep holding on to the toes, perhaps you're able to bring the heels in a little bit closer. Not necessary if they're further away. You do not want to feel this in your knees. You want to feel the hips actually opening up. So there's an external rotation. Now you can take the hands, hold on to the feet, place your elbows over your calves as you lean in a little bit, and maybe apply some pressure here, just like we did in our goddess squat when we were pressing onto the thighs. Now you're pressing onto your calves to get a little bit more space, a little bit more opening. Now you may have noticed in the thumbnail I had padmanasana as a question mark, and the reason for that is that it's not necessarily a position that's available to everyone, and it's really important to take first the safety of your body as you prepare. Now as we move on, we'll stretch out the legs a little bit here. You can shake them out, and from here we continue to work on some external rotation. We're going to take the right foot in the left hand, and you can continue to hold on to it in the hand. You can kind of cradle your knee perhaps, or you might be able to just wrap it around completely. Maybe you're sliding your foot all the way into the crook of your elbow to cradle in that shin while you continue to sit nice and tall. Now from here you can do a little bit of rocking from side to side. You're going to feel some real juiciness here in the hip to warm it up as you continue to maybe feel like you're increasing the range of motion here. You're getting that knee maybe a little further back, but as you can see here, my knee joint is closed. So it's not in this kind of position, but actually have it closed as I continue that side to side motion. And that's going to keep my knee well protected. So as we release the right foot, we're going to do the same sort of motion on the left side. You're going to notice that one side pretty typically is tighter than the other. So maybe you're just holding on with both hands here. Maybe your leg is out here somewhere, and that's quite okay. That's the case. From here, whatever your availability is, you work with that. Now, if you're working toward lotus pose, as I said, it's not necessarily a position that's available to everyone. Our bony structure in our hips can be different from person to person. So it's really important to listen to your body. If you're feeling pain, especially in a joint, stop what you're doing. Don't push it any further. Really listen and be kind to your body. Work with what your body needs and requires. Now, as you continue to squeeze that in, maybe a little bit closer as you maintain your external rotation, you maintain that closed knee joint, working into it a little bit more. This is my tighter side, so I can definitely feel the difference on this side. And from here, we release it and stretch the leg out. Now, sitting nice and tall, our final exercise that I'm going to take you through here before we move into an attempt for lotus pose or whatever variation works for you. We're going to open up the legs and bringing those legs out, not as wide as you have available necessarily, especially if you are a more advanced practitioner. You may find that you typically can open up really, really wide. So we're not looking for that at this time. What we're actually looking to do is to bring the soles of, or not soles, but the outside edges to the floor instead. So we're pressing to open up. So you've got the inner thighs here that are rotating upward and the outer thighs rotating down and out and holding it here as we maintain a tall and lifted spine. So from here, you can bring the hands back behind you, bring the feet flat on the floor, give yourself a little bit of hip massaging and just wiper blading those legs side to side creates a really nice release. Now, to move on to lotus position, first thing we want to do is similar to how we did the rocking of the cradle just a few moments ago, we do want to close that knee joint. So we want to pull it in so that if you look at the joint, it's completely closed here. So you're pulling it in, you're holding on to the foot, and you are still sitting tall. So if you're struggling with sitting tall, sit on the blanket. It's going to help you quite a bit. Now, as you activate through the bandhas, we are going to pick up that leg, bring it out to the side, keeping the knee joint closed, taking the foot and placing it right at the top of the hip crease. So as you position it here, you're going to have the ball of your foot and the base of the toes, the underside of the toes, kind of pointing outward. So you don't want them pointing down or pointing in to your body, but you want them out to the side of the body. And from here, you do want to have this knee being able to relax and make its way down toward the floor. So you do not want to have movement side to side in your knee, which is really important. So whatever you need to do here, if this is as far as you can get and there's no pressure on the knee joint, then you could just stay here and possibly bring your other leg and place it underneath to come into a half lotus. And this might be quite comfortable for you, or you may just have to release it and move into more of a cross-legged or crossed ankles position, easy pose, or maybe even bringing heel to heel as you line them up with the body, which might be a little bit easier for you to open up your hips. And this is the one that I actually had in the thumbnail because it is one that is a little easier, a little bit more accessible to most. Again, if you have difficulty staying tall here, slide that blanket underneath your sit bones. It'll make it a lot easier for those knees to open up. So continuing on from a half lotus, to a full lotus. If you do feel ready to take on a full lotus position, you would do the same thing here. And it is not my forte. You should be able to do it on both sides. And I find that this, I can do it on the other side, but it would mean forcing the joints to get in place. And I'm just not a fan of doing that to my body. So from here, lifting up and keeping that joint closed, I'm going to move it to the side again and then bring it over to position the foot so that once again, it's at the hip crease and the toes are, the ball of the foot, the toes are pointed outward. Now from here, I could rest the backs of the hands over the knees. I could simply bring it to this mudra of continuous energy with tip of the thumb and index, and just relaxing the other fingers from there and sitting here ever so comfortably for hours and hours of meditation, which is totally not necessary. You sit in the position that works for you when you come into your meditation. Do not force your body into anything that is not kind and does not feel good. Now, if this is a position that you do want to attain, be aware it may take you months, it may take you weeks, it may take you a year to get to that position. And depending on your physiology, it may never be a position that is kind to your body. So if you work on hip openers, you're greatly going to benefit from those hip openers. And if you can't get into lotus, don't worry about it. Just be good to your body. And with that, we'll uncross and you can stretch the legs out once again. You can make your way down into corpse pose, getting comfortable and taking a few moments here to release the spine as you open up the arms and let your knees fall to one side, keeping the heart open, possibly guiding one knee a little closer into the body as you turn your gaze in the opposite direction. And then as you bring legs back through the center, releasing to the opposite side for that same spinal twist. Spinal twists are wonderful for rebalancing nervous system as well as your spinal alignment. Come on back to the center. Make any adjustments that feels good to you as you stretch out those legs. Allow the replenishment of fluid energy to come into those hips as you close the eyes. Take a deep breath in. Exhale to release any and all resistance, tension. Allow yourself to lay here peacefully for as long as you have the availability to. Once again, be kind to your body. If you have more time, you can stay here longer. But as we close off the practice today, do be sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and give me one of these if you liked it. Hit that notification bell so you'll know when I upload new content and you can check it out. And check me out in the next video. Thank you so much for your time. I really, truly appreciate it. I appreciate your comments. You're so supportive. Thank you. Namaste.